Hi, I'm Jamie Bramberger, Manager of Community and Student Affairs at Algonquin College's Pembroke campus and a member of the Board of Directors for United Way East Ontario. The United Way workplace campaigns are now underway. It is vitally important that during this COVID-19 pandemic, we support our colleagues, our friends, our neighbors, and even our family members. There's never been a better time to give. Today, I'm really pleased that we are raising a flag here at Algonquin College's Pembroke campus with Dr. Kelty Jones, our Dean of the campus. Algonquin College is a supporter. I encourage you to get your organization or your employer to support the United Way as well. We're changing lives, and it's vitally important at this time in our history. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelty Jones. I'm the Dean of Algonquin College's Pembroke campus, and I'm excited to be here today for the flag raising for the United Way flag to kick off the annual employee workplace campaign. Our college, our campus here in Pembroke has had a really long history of supporting the local United Way, and through that have created great opportunities for our students to be engaged in our community, as well as making sure that we're creating a strong community around us. I personally support United Way because it's a wonderful way to make a small contribution each month and have a large impact on multiple organizations. And those organizations then get the chance to have access to grants instead of spending their time trying to raise those individual dollars on their own. It's a wonderful system, it's a wonderful organization, and I'm very excited that we're going to launch our latest employee campaign. Thanks.
It's always a pleasure for me to speak either at a school, an elementary school, or a university or college, because I have both fond memories myself, but also I'm always very inspired by the work that is done by our educational institutions. Not only is it a key component to the work that we are involved in, but it must be, if I can imagine the role you play, particularly during a week where you've celebrated a convocation, a moment of great pride for the students and for the faculty that have contributed to the success of those students, and yet anticipation and excitement about casting another cohort of folks into the world to make it a better place. And I looked at your mission, of course, and appropriately it's to transform hopes and dreams into lifelong success. And so I want to commend you and congratulate you on the work that you're doing through this pandemic to continue to fulfill that mission. That our ambition, amongst our ambitions, is to ensure that there's equity and opportunity for all. And one of our goals actually is, we describe it as poverty to possibilities. And then the realization that we can partner and work together with organizations of higher learning like Algonquin, and those dreams and hopes are realized is a true infinite commitment to the journey towards social justice. As Jamie mentioned, I wanted to get serious for a moment and then leave you with a couple of very local and important notes about the work that we are doing, and frankly would not be possible without your contributions. Yesterday, in fact, you may have noticed that Canada's Chief Medical Officer of Health tabled her annual report for 2020. Dr. Theresa Tam, who somehow has around the world, medical officers of public health have become celebrities, and Dr. Tam is no less, spoke about her journey around COVID-19 to date, and her annual report was entitled Risk to Resilience, an Equity Approach to COVID-19 and the State of Public Health in Canada. And permit me, I'm just going to reference a portion of her report, and then speak about the role that United Way has played and the role that you have contributed and enabled us to play. While the COVID-19 pandemic affects us all, the health impacts have been worse for seniors, essential workers, racialized populations, people living with disabilities, and women. We need to improve the health, social, and economic conditions for the populations to achieve health equity and to protect us all from the threat of COVID-19 and future pandemics. That is why this year, the focus of my annual report is on understanding COVID-19's broader consequences and offer evidence-based solutions. She goes on and says that we know we must continue to follow public health advice and protect those at high risk, while at the same time attending to the human, social, and economic impacts of our communities that they are experiencing. There are no easy solutions, and difficult choices remain in the months ahead. This means incorporating a health equity approach to pandemic preparedness, response, and recovery. The bottom line, no one is protected until everyone is protected. And that resonated with me in the context of COVID, but resonated with me more deeply because it was in February of this year that some of the public health authorities that we work with in the region came to United Way and, perhaps for better or for worse, recognized the work that we had done in the context of flooding, in the context of the tornadoes hitting in Ottawa, in the context of some of the other crises that we had responded to, and pulled together a response that the community could support in order to deal with those who were most vulnerable. And indeed, when public health spoke to us about that, they identified that while they were going to have their hands full in terms of the health components, that the implications for some of our communities most vulnerable would absolutely be a consideration. So amongst the things that we did over the course of the following months after February is that we invested resources in programs and agencies. 25 of those were in Renfrew County. Those programs address the challenges that were faced by isolated seniors, those facing basic needs like food and food security, building capacity for agencies and organizations to deal with the pandemic and maintain their services like internet capacity and technology, strengthening mental health supports, and empowering volunteers. We have a video I'll show later about the Phoenix Center for Children and Families and about a specific story that I hope will touch your hearts in terms of the impact and the difference that you have made. We've also worked with municipalities, the town of Arnprior and the Committee on Poverty and Homelessness, the Renfrew County District Health Unit, and the County of Renfrew Social Services Department. All of that is the mandate that we embraced as a United Way in East Ontario, to ensure that the most significant challenges that were being faced by our most vulnerable, we would have the opportunity to mitigate those impacts and maintain services through its challenges. And frankly, now it seems that that challenge is going to be long-term. The important message, though, I guess I wanted to leave with you is built on some of the statistics and evidence that is now coming out of Dr. Tam's report, and frankly the work that we are doing to generate data as well. We have a commitment to United Way to social justice. We believe it intersects completely with the equity approach to public health. But that said, it's not because we do this ideologically. We do it ideologically. We do it because we believe in social justice. We believe it is the right thing to do. It is the moral, is the ethical thing to do. It is the thing that is aligned with our values. But the fact of the matter is that Dr. Tam, at her core, professionally, is a scientist. And she's doing this because that's what the evidence is telling her. And so the experience that she has had so far in Ontario is that there have been approximately 2,800 deaths in Ontario due to COVID-19. 2,000 of those deaths, or 70%, have been long-term care facilities. In terms of susceptibility, the susceptibility of those who are over 80 years old is twice as great as those under 19. In terms of gender, COVID-19 has affected women in terms of infection disproportionately to the main population, 55% for women and 45% for men, not to mention the social implications as well for COVID-19. It's also affected essential workers and frankly, racialized communities. All of those things, I would add, are things that we knew coming into this pandemic. There is nothing in terms of the inequities that our society has presented that were any differently portrayed in the context of the pandemic. But the pandemic has brought it to life. has deepened the awareness and has profiled the fractures in our society. And frankly, I believe it has provided an opportunity for us to think about how we rebuild and how we address those challenges. And so that's the ask I have of you today. The ask I have of you today is to join us. If any of these issues are important to you, the health of your community, the situation of isolated seniors, the conditions under which those who are challenged from a racial perspective, from an economic perspective, who are isolated, who are poor, and that this is certainly an issue in the context of Renfrew County, then please join us. If you are in a situation that you can contribute to our campaign, please do so. But if you're in a situation that you'd like to do more or other things, then I point you to none other than your own Jamie Bramberger. Jamie has stepped up, and I want to thank him for doing so in the context of our board of directors for United Way East Ontario. And he, I have learned, is a powerful advocate for not only Renfrew County and for Algonquin College, but frankly for many of the social justice issues that he knows aligns with our work. And he has used his voice, he has used his program, he has used his skills to amplify that voice. And I know that he is taking that to every corner of the region. So I want to thank Jamie for that. And I want to commend you to live those values in the same fashion, whether it's through the United Way or through any other thing through this pandemic. There is an opportunity for us to here to turn to our neighbors and lend a helping hand, to lend a contribution to get through this together and to build back better.